Namaste, good morning.
Okay.
Have you seen the craziness on TV?
Well, yeah, I was just reading the articles, yeah. You mean the people celebrating and all?
Yes.
Yeah, they started gathering last night, yeah. Yeah. That's how it usually goes.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
So anyway, I wrote a blog spot
Oh,
on it. Now I could read it if you'd like to hear it.
yeah.
Osama's death, a planetary message. It is a great sadness to see such a celebratory nature surrounding the killing of Osama bin Laden. Any terrorist's anger and action comes out of a mental illness, and is it not also a mental illness to celebrate his killing? When is this madness going to end? As far as giving him a burial according to Islamic custom, what part of dumping the body in the ocean is going to fly with that? Do you not think that this will just be seen as another slap in the face to the radical faction? Do you not see that this will only serve to inflame the situation even further, that now Osama will be held up to be a glorified martyr and raised to an even greater status of figurehead to fuel the fires of hatred? What does this show the world to see many of a nation out waving flags and celebrating his killing? Would it not be more in alignment to mourn another death in this back and forth killing spree? Let's face it, all radicals are unbalanced, whether the far-right Christians or the radical Muslims or the radical Jews. In all they polarize themselves and their belief systems into us versus them. Nothing is healthy, and all have excluded the rest of humanity from also being children of one God. Our God versus their God only shows the ignorance of understanding there is only one God. God does not wear the mask of Christian, nor Muslim, nor Hindu, nor Buddhist, nor Jew. God is beyond and prior to man's trying to name, claim, and own God as an item to be paraded around as we are best and right. Our Bible, our Talmud, our Quran, etc., is the only right scripture to be followed. It is more a time for humanity to get it. To get what? That we are one mankind. All have the same emotions, the same wants, the same desires. All want freedom. All want food in their stomachs and a roof over their head. Most want a family and to be able to have that family prosper. What gives the right to any country to dictate what another country has to do within its culture? Should we not celebrate diversity rather than seeing it as some inherent threat? Yes, radicals need to be taken out of the equation. They cannot be allowed to run rampant, ever fueling the fires of the ignorant sheep-minded followers. But there also needs to come education of mankind to break the bonds and ignorance that keeps the mental spin of us versus them in place. Should this not be done with more of a heavy heart rather than celebration? What has happened to humanity? The human has been replaced with something that has a hardened heart that bears little resemblance to one nation under God. Just as the nation of Israel hardened their hearts and thereby wandered in the desert for 40 years, that generation missing out of the promised land, so does this nation and all nations need to learn from that pointing. Do you want to wander around in the desert of desolation, or come into the promised land of peace and plenty? It is mankind's choice. You create your personal karma and the nation's karma. What is in the future that you wish to encounter? It is in your hands. May we mourn the deaths of those on all sides who are driven by hatred and anger. May we mourn the deaths of all the innocents on all sides that lose their time on this planet due to the ignorance of hate-fueled mentality, as all of this is ugly no matter which side is the perpetrator. So much killing done in the name of righteousness under the banner of religion. So many twisted scriptures that men use to fuel their misdeeds to call them good. When did this good God, full of life and wanting to bless, suddenly become a bloodthirsty demigod requiring the deaths and rigid-minded books of rules that bring more bondage than liberation? Is it not men that have abused God and misspoken, proclaiming themselves to be God's mouthpiece and prophets, which in turn, this life of all life, they've turned it into a seeming hater and a seeker of needing to be propitiated and appeased in order to not send destruction? Is it not the mental spin of man's identifications that have misspoken under the name of being one of God's prophets that have caused rigid ideologies that bear little resemblance to God's nature of simply being the life of all life and the blessing of all blessing? How can mankind blame God for the wars, the polluting of the planet, the global warming, the imbalance of nature which is coming out of mankind's greed? This is the nature of the egoist. This is what fuels the fires of me versus them and turning a blind eye to the destruction of this planet which is taking place day by day. Isn't it time to wake up? Isn't it time to put away the guns and hatred and focus on healing the planet before all of mankind is lost due to its nature of greed? Hatred needs to give way to seeking understanding, having compassion, coming to balance. Let mankind change from the hardened heart to one that is seeking the best for all life, rather than at the expense of other. Can this not become a time of healing rather than another excuse for even more division? No matter what terrible things were done under the planning of Osama bin Laden, still, he was someone's son, someone's husband, someone's father. They are mourning his loss. He was lost in blind hatred. Who knows the reason why? It's a time of sadness to see those who rejoice in jubilation at any killing. When will the killing end? When will sanity come back where mankind is seen as mankind, with mutual respect and giving the right to worship God as the one God to mankind that wears many faces and celebrates in many varied ways? And so that's the blog spot.
Yes. Very well written.
It's amazing that to see people out waving flags and celebrating and just when is this going to end?
Well, it's most of the planet's not ready for the stuff you just wrote, though.
They're going to have to get ready, or they're going to lose the planet.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah. I was thinking this. What do you think? It's just so well written. She's always asking me, "What are you all about?" So that's
To whom?
my mother. To send them to her.
Yeah, of course you could send it to her.
Yeah, I think that'd be good because she would appreciate it. It's very well written. I think she would like it.
I just see it as a very dangerous thing when you have people out celebrating, you know, it just shows a lot of ignorance.
Oh yeah. Like when the buildings when 9/11 happened. The Arab community was out dancing in the streets. Now they kill Osama. The Americans are out dancing in the streets.
It's the same drama. You know,
Yeah.
I don't care which side it's from.
Yeah.
It comes out of the same ignorance, and it will continue to fuel the fires of hatred on both sides until mankind wakes up and sees that mankind is one. You know, and the worst is that it's done under the religious banner.
Yeah.
That's the worst, absolutely the worst. Just as, you know, I continue to speak out against gurus that will sexually abuse devotees, and, you know, they're using this as some sort of a, you know, I'm higher, I'm better, and, you know, my morality, I have a different morality, and it's okay because I'm a god. I mean, just nonsense. All of this nonsense has to end on all levels. The planet is one, mankind is one, there is no higher and lower, and, you know, morality is morality, and honesty is honesty, compassion is compassion, and these separations need to fall. It needs to be done, or else mankind is going to, you know, absolutely continue to abuse the planet until it can no longer sustain mankind. It's in your hands. It's in everybody's hands, and they have to be accountable. They have to start standing up, you know, for truth, and standing up for you know, a correct way, and let go of all of these infighting and, you know, all of this nonsense that's going on. It's another time for a wake-up call. Just look at the actions that are coming out of this. Look at the ignorance that's being paraded around under this. What a sad thing to see this as a big celebration.
This goes on and on and on. Now they try to retaliate, and if they succeed, they celebrate again. And then it's like an eye for an eye, constantly going on.
Well, like it says, you know, remove the mote in your eye before you start looking at the speck in another's eye. You know, as you know, again, we have to, everybody has to be accountable. And it's not going to end until people start standing up and say, no more, enough is enough. You know, and it needs to happen on all levels. You know, you can't continue to sweep this under the carpet or use it as a platform to fuel more hatred, more anger, more ignorance. It needs to be enough of a shake-up and wake-up call for people to begin to say no more, enough is enough.
That's true.
And so on that note, you know, I also started a new Yahoo group.
Yeah, I saw it, yeah.
And it's for those that are, you know, coming out of, out from under gurus that have been abused.
Yeah.
And so hopefully it will be a meeting place for them where they can get support, you know, from other people that have come out of it as well. And hopefully they can rally together and, you know, come together, pool resources, etc., that they can bring some lawsuits or whatever's needed to stand up against these, you know, these predator type gurus, you know. So anyway, the name of the website, it's the Yahoo group Stand Up for Truth at yahoo.com.
Yeah.
So that's the new site, and it's for, I don't care, it doesn't have to just be for Nityananda. There are people have contacted me that have come out of other groups that have been sexually exploited, and so it's also for them, where they can come together as a group and can talk amongst themselves and plan what they want to do, and find out they're not alone and get some needed support, so they don't feel like they're out there by themselves just swimming in this muck and not having their strength in numbers. And if they come together and they plan it out well, they can stand up and be counted and pull the mask off of this, and let it be seen for what it is. But people have to, it's not enough for me to sit and continue to speak out against this. The ones that have been abused, the ones that have been taken advantage of, need to stand together. They need to come together and say enough is enough, and be willing to take a stand, in order to move this forward, to get these people out of positions of authority. That's what has to happen. Okay. So anyway, that's being made available as well. Whether people take advantage of it or not, it's up to them. I'm not here to be a guru to them or whatever. I'm just making the site available for their use for whatever they want to use it for. That's all. So they have a meeting place and place they can come, a port in the storm.
I can actually, it kind of dawned on me, well, in the midst of me speaking, I can actually join it, although it's not such a heinous situation in my case, but there's a little bit of that kind of thing from my path, in case somebody wants to come on that had some difficulties with it.
Right. Right.
So I'll join.
Yeah, you could join if you wanted, although there's not much to be done there. He's already passed.
Yeah, and it wasn't. It's vague, and it wasn't heinous situations, but there was a little bit of this, a little bit of that.
Well, I heard there was some sexual impropriety there as well, as there has been with so many of them. But again, this is up to the people that have been involved with that. Other people that want to be supporters of that, could maybe, if somebody like Lennon wanted to come in, and people then could have a place where he could open an account and they could, donate some funds so that they could, because I don't know how he's getting his representation paid for in the courts. I'm sure that Nityananda is paying for the best lawyer he can get, and again, the other side needs to have representation, and this all needs to be coordinated, and this would give a place for them to come together and coordinate it. I don't want anything to do with it. I don't want to be involved in any of the, financial things of their stuff. It has to be somebody from each one of these organizations that's willing to lead that and man that, to put that in place. But I'm happy to give a place, put that together and kind of mediate, if asked, so they can go forward.
Yeah, that's good.
That's all. So it's there, whether people use it or not, it's up to them. But I wanted to do whatever I could do and make it available. So again, if anybody wants to use that, it's standupfortruth@yahoo.com.
That's good.
So. So lots of things taking place. So, namaste.
Oh, Namaste.